Terribly sorry, having really bad technical difficulties. I have recorded various episodes which got cut out due to technological glitches and have deleted like half an hour to an hour's content. I believe I have part 5 and 7 uploaded, but part 6 wasn't working, so I have to redo it. This is part 6 of the Eye of Revelation. No cigar, no coffee, just catching up. Chapter 10. Further information. When the colonel had finished his description of the 5 rites, I said to him, "Let me ask you some questions now." "Very well," he replied. "That is just what I want you to do." "I feel that from your description I understand the rites quite well," I began, "but when and how often are they to be employed?" "They can be used either night and morning," answered the colonel, "in the morning only or just at night. If it is more convenient, I use them both morning and night, but I would not advise so much stimulation for the beginner until he has practiced them for a number of months. At the start, he could use them the full number of times in the morning, and then, in the evening, he could gradually build up until finally he is doing the same amount of practice as in the morning." "Just how many times a day should a person use these rites?" was my next question. "To start with," said he, "I would suggest you practice each rite 3 times a day for the first week, then increase them by 2 a day each week until you are doing 21 a day, which will be at the beginning of the 10th week. Everyone wants to reach the goal of 21 repetitions, some as quickly as possible. However, there is a lot to be gained by building up repetitions exactly as described by Kelder. 3 reps in your first week, adding 2 per week until you are doing 21 in 10 weeks' time. We humans are always rushing forwards, towards some future experience, and you would benefit significantly from slowing down and being present to your experiences when learning the rites. Arriving at your destination of 21 repetitions will be all the more fulfilling if you do so. People who practice yoga regularly or keep themselves fit may want to progress at a much faster rate than Colonel Bradford recommends. This is understandable, but please remember that these exercises are designed to have a stimulating effect on the energy systems of your body. If, after having performed the rites, you find it difficult to relax or remain focused, are moodier than usual, have difficulty sleeping, or feel you are not in your body, then reduce repetitions and build up more gradually. If you feel slightly nauseous or have a mild headache, then you are doing too many repetitions, most likely due to the spinning movement in the first rite. See Appendix A on page 116 for more information on dizziness. Detox effects. Due to the increased elimination of impurities and wastes and elevated oxygen levels in your body, you may experience some minor detox effects. Some people have strong changes, and others have none at all. If you do experience any of the following symptoms, they usually settle down within a week. A metallic taste in your mouth, achy joints for a day or so, darker, stronger smelling urine, diarrhea or a strong bowel movement, initial constipation, slight nausea, initial fatigue as the body balances itself, limbs randomly falling off and not being able to reattach them, cold or flu-like symptoms that last a day, a runny nose as sinuses clear, a tic or involuntary muscle movement over one eye, a mild rash or pimples, moodiness, either a bit snappy or teary. Now, one of them I made up. Let me know in the comments below if you know which one. Maybe I should just read properly. Your limbs won't fall off. Further information continued. If you cannot practice rite number 1, the whirling one, the same number of times as the others, then do it only as many times as you can without getting too dizzy. The time will soon come, however, when you can practice it the full number of 21 times. I knew of one man who required more than a year before he could do it that many times, but he performed the other 4 without difficulty, gradually increasing the number until he was doing the full 21 on all 4. He got very splendid results. Under certain conditions, added the colonel, there are some who find it difficult to perform rite number 1 at all, to begin with, But after having done the other 4 for about 6 months, they are amazed at how easy it is to do number 1. Likewise, with the other rites, removed from a 1946 update, if for any reason one or more of them cannot be used, do not be discouraged. Use what you can. Results in that case will be a little slower, but that is the one handicap. If one has been recently operated on for, say, appendicitis, or is afflicted with hernia, he should be very cautious in practicing rites number 2, 3, and 5. If one is very heavy, he should be cautious in the use of number 5 until his weight has been greatly reduced. All 5 of the rites are of importance. Even though he may not be able to perform them the prescribed number of times, the individual may rest assured that just a few times each day will be of benefit. If at the end of the 4th week one finds that he cannot perform every one of the rites the required number of times, he should note carefully the ones which he is forced to slight. Then, if he is performing the 5 rites in the morning, he should try to make up the deficiency in the evening, or if he is performing the rites in the evening, he should endeavor to find time in the morning to catch up. In either event, he should not neglect the other rites, and above all, he should never strain himself. If he goes about performing the rites in an easy, interesting manner, it will not be long before he finds everything working out satisfactorily, and that he is doing the rites the required 21 times a day. Some people, acting on their own initiative, invent little aids for their practices. An old fellow in India found it impossible for him to perform rite number 4 properly even once. He wouldn't be satisfied with just getting his body off the floor. He was determined that it should reach a horizontal position as the rite prescribed. So he got a box about 10 inches high and 2.5 feet long. Upon this, he put some bedding folded on the right side, and across this padded box he lay flat on his back. Then with his feet on the floor at one end and his hands on the floor at the other end, he found it quite simple to raise his body to a horizontal position. Not quite this little stunt. Now, while this little stunt may not in itself have helped the old gentleman in performing the rite the full 21 times, still, the psychological effect of being able to raise his body as high as the much stronger men was undoubtedly quite stimulating, and may have been quite beneficial. I do not particularly recommend this old man's aid, although it may help those who think it impossible to make progress in any other way. But if you have an inventive mind, you will think of ways and means to help you in performing the more difficult rites. These rites are so powerful that if one were left out entirely while the other 4 were practiced regularly the full number of times, only the finest kind of results would be experienced. Only one rite alone, the 1946 update says, the first rite, will do wonders, as evidenced by the whirling dervishes of whom we spoke. Had they spun around only a limited number of times, they would have found themselves greatly benefited, although they may not have attributed their improved conditions to the whirling. The fact that they whirled from left to right, and that the old men, who no doubt whirled around less than the younger ones, were virile and strong, is ample proof that just one rite will have powerful effects. So if anyone finds that they simply cannot perform all 5 of these practices, or that they cannot perform them all the full number of times, they may still know that good results may still be experienced from what they were able to do. As mentioned earlier in the description for rite number 1, this information is incorrect. The dervishes spin anti-clockwise, from right to left. I'm confused. Which way are you meant to spin? Does anything else go with these 5 rites? I asked. There are 2 more things which would help. The first is to stand erect with hands on hips between the 5 rites, and take 1 or 2 deep breaths. Note, the 1946 edition completely excludes this information on breathing. The other suggestion is to take either a tepid bath or a cool but not cold one after practicing the rites, going over the body quickly with a wet towel, and then with a dry one is probably even better. One thing I must caution you against: you must never take a shower, hot or tub or wet towel bath which is cold enough to chill you even slightly internally. Yesterday, after I did 5 Tibetan rites, I had a cold shower because I couldn't get the hot water to work. So, if you do, you will have undone all the good you have gained from performing the 5 rites. This all seems so simple, I ventured. Do you mean to tell me that this is all that is necessary in the work of restoring the senile? 1946 edition says, prematurely, old men to robust health, vigor, and virility. All that is required, answered the colonel, is to practice the 5 rites 3 times a day to begin with, and gradually increase them, as I have explained, until each is being practiced 21 times each day. That is all. There is nothing more. Of course, he continued, one must practice them every day in order to keep one's robust vitality. You may skip 1 day, a week, but never more than that. The use of the 5 rites is no hardship at all. It requires less than 10 minutes a day to practice them. If necessary, one can get up 10 minutes earlier or go to bed 10 minutes later. The 5 rites are for the express purpose of restoring a man to manhood, that is, to make him virile and keep him that way constantly. Whether or not he will make the comeback in youthful appearance, as I have done in so short a time, depends on how he uses his virility. Some men do not care whether they look young, or even whether they appear young, just so long as they have all their manly powers. But as for me, I was an old man for so many years, practically 40, that I like the idea of throwing off the years in any and every way possible. Shout out to my business. I sell animal skulls and bones. This is a wild scavenged sheep skull from the Welsh mountains. I will put the link in the description below to check out all of my other animal skulls and bones, from wild ponies to sheep to squirrels, and I've got a badger skull, deer skulls with antlers, all sorts of cool things. Back to the book. The Eye of Revelation. Chapter 11. Breathing. In his 1946 updated version of The Eye of Revelation, Kelder removed his earlier instructions to stand erect with hands on hips between the 5 rites and take on or more deep breaths. Therefore, adding breathing to the rites is optional. Many years ago, I added natural full breathing to T5T while practicing the rites and in between each rite. Since I had practiced many forms of breathing methods, I knew how vital correct respiration is to our overall health, energy, well-being, and longevity. It seemed to me that if we were taking the time to do a daily wellness, anti-aging practice like the 5 Tibetan rites, adding breathing would increase that benefit even further. Breathing is so significant. It supplies life-giving energy, prana, chi, and oxygen to our bodies and removes wastes. A number of clinical studies have proven that how well you breathe literally dictates your lifespan. The Framingham study, these researchers were able to foretell how long a person was going to live by measuring forced exhalation breathing volume, FEV1, and hypertension. We know that much of hypertension is controlled by the way we breathe. Long before a person becomes terminally ill, vital capacity can predict lifespan. William B. Cannell of Boston School of Medicine, 1981. Since Kelder didn't leave any breathing instructions other than take 1 or 2 deep breaths between each rite, any form of breathing carried out with the rites is entirely optional. Personally, I do the breaths in between each. I stand and I take 2 deep breaths in between each round, which is something they'll go into further, most likely. And when I'm doing the rites, I sync up the movements with my breath, which I thought was something they mentioned in one of the earlier books, where you're breathing with the movement very slowed and controlled, so it's a very calming, mind-leveling exercise where you really drop into the breath and the movement and the body and the yoga all at once. Back to this. Our energy breathing method, which we carry out between each rite, is very popular. It results in a calmer, more focused, and happier approach to life. We also breathe in a specific way while doing the rites, which provides energy, balance, and stability to our movements. There are many breathing methods and teachers you can learn from to improve your breathing. However, if you want to practice what we at T5T have done for the last 23 years, please see the resources at the back, including my book, The 5 Tibetans Breathing Book. If you want to download the meditations based on breathing that we, in our workshops and online training courses, have, you can go do so for free on the t5t.com website. Chapter 12. The 5 Elements. At the time of the development of the 5 Tibetan rites of rejuvenation, the ancients believed that their world was composed of 5 elements: water, earth, air, fire, and spirit, energy. In psychology, the 5 elements are used to personify different human traits, such as the personality type categories of Carl Jung: feeling, sensing, intuiting, and thinking, and those associated with the astrological signs of the zodiac. I experienced with the concept of adding an element and an affirmation to each of the rites. Many people have found the results to be amazing. You can try them and see if they work as well for you. In each case, the physical movement of the rite was a metaphor for what we were trying to achieve mentally: awareness of a different aspect of life. For example, the spin takes the element energy, and the vortex that the movements create allows you to replenish your body from the larger energy all around you. The tabletop takes the element earth, and its movements focus on stability, foundation, and balance, giving us a solid base from which to form new ideas. In holistic exercise, it can sometimes be hard to marry the physical state with the mental state, and having a metaphor helps people align the two and present a clear picture of what they are working towards. Having assigned an element and a modern name to each rite, I have then experimented with creating an affirmation that expressed the energy of each movement. The result is a method of reinforcing and focusing on the positive benefits of each rite physically, mentally, and spiritually. This has a ripple effect on every area of your life. Rite number 1. Energy. The spin. I am full of energy. Rite number 2. Air. The leg raise. My mind is clear and calm. Rite number 3. Water. The kneeling back bend. I am flexible and receptive. Rite number 4. Earth. The tabletop. I am strong and balanced. Rite number 5. Fire. The pendulum. I am positive and motivated. You can download this free affirmations poster on the t5t.com website. Part 2. Right, I need to check, peace out. I might be done. I need to check where I'm meant to be reading to, because this is an in-betweener video, as you can tell. Follow them in order.